That light in somebody's eyes when they open up the product box for the first time and they're looking at their 102 and it's just glowing gold and you hear the angels singing and everything.
Hey woodworkers, I'm here in the Dunstone Design Workshop with Curtis Turner from Lie-Nielsen, America. Welcome to the workshop, Curtis.
Well, thank you, Evan. I'm really happy to be here. Yesterday was quite an enjoyable experience. I was really happy to see how vibrant the community is. It was just quite a treat to be here. So thank you very much for putting up with all the craziness that happened over the last few days.
I think one of the exciting things from a woodworker's perspective is the modern woodworker has the best knowledge resource ever in the history of mankind.
Yeah, absolutely.
You've got YouTube, you've got people like yourself,
right.
You've got literally 1,000 years of woodworking in books and technology.
Right.
We've got incredible machinery. We've now got access to beautiful hand tools. We understand timber science better than ever. Okay, our timber resource has contracted and getting good wood here in Australia has become more challenging, but really it's a golden time, in my opinion, for home woodworkers, to have beautiful tools, get access to some materials, have that joy of craft and make objects, in their own home workshop. I think it's wonderful.
Well, you're right. We have lots of options now for high quality tools. If we go back, almost 40 years ago, before there was really a Lie-Nielsen, you really had this shrinking market of quality tools. So while Stanley many years ago produced a reasonably quality tool for the time, that quality started to decline when Tom came on the scene and started making the 95 edge plane, and from that he started making additional planes. So we started having more and more high quality tools available, thanks in part to what Tom did. And now we have all these choices, and I think through what Tom has done in terms of pushing the tool making craft forward has led to lots of other really high quality special tools being available that going back just a couple of decades ago didn't exist. So we do have that quality of tool that's available to us that in the past just wasn't. One of the things that we're able to do from that quality standpoint is we better understand the science behind stress relieving of the metals. So in terms of the quality of the blades, for example, we have A2 cryogenically treated steel. We think that's a good compromise between being a hard enough tool to hold the edge for a long time, so you have good edge retention, but you also have ease and sharpenability. There's this balance between we could make the blade last forever, but it would be very difficult for you to sharpen. So we feel like we've kind of achieved a balance there that was not possible, 40, 50, 60 years ago. So there's this continual sense of improvement that Tom keeps pushing us forward. And when there's a technological advantage to be gained by adding a piece of equipment, then that's something that we strongly consider and we might end up adding.
Interestingly enough, when I compare my 102 with the modern ones, you've obviously changed the casting somewhere along the line because it's subtly different to the new ones out of the box, which is kind of fun. I've noticed when we do classes, we'll sometimes get people who bought Lie-Nielsen tools as their first tool. And quite often, those are the ones that aren't actually set up quite right. They might have messed with the geometry and so on. You find somebody who's put up with bad tools and then migrated to the Lie-Nielsen tools are the ones who actually get the most performance out of their tool, because they've spent those days trying to get performance out of sub-performance tools, so that when they make the transition to the Lie-Nielsen, they actually, they've bought a Ferrari, but they can drive a Ferrari because they've actually learned on an old stick shift, if you see what I mean.
I think that's really important. I often will say, I think it's really healthy for somebody to go through the process of rehabbing a plane. I know it was for me, and I jokingly will say, well, it builds a lot of character, but I only need so much more character, so I'm done. Let me just buy the tool that I need. So when I got my first tool, originally, this was before I worked for Lie-Nielsen, I was using Stanley planes, learning how to rehab those, spending times, getting the sole flat and all the stuff that goes into rehabbing a plane. And I didn't understand the value in the Lie-Nielsen tools because I could only see them in a display case in a woodworking store. And the employees really couldn't tell me much about the tool. So it was just, I could look at it and I would look at it and go, wow, who would be crazy enough to spend $300 on a plane? My wife fortunately gave me one as a gift, and it was at that moment when I first used the tools that I realized there was magic there, and it was the aha moment for me that was like, wow, okay, there's something to this. Getting that hands-on experience was so important to me to understand the value in the tool, and that's what's kind of kicked me off, and that's how I got here, basically, as a short version.
Yeah.
But that has really confirmed to me that getting the woodworkers time with the tool is more important than watching someone demonstrate it. So that's why we're so quick to say, here, you try it.
Yeah.
And that, I think, really helps people understand the value in the tool, how they're supposed to function, what a sharp tool feels like, or how smooth the wood is supposed to be, and seeing that you can do it yourself really, I think, drives home the point that there's a lot of value in the tool and they are super functional, and I think that's what leads people into understanding the value in our tools and becoming Lie-Nielsen fans and customers.
Man, you know, that fit and finish doesn't do itself, and understanding where to get the value from that sort of tactile experience, where that value comes from the hand finishing.
There's a tremendous amount of handwork that goes into making these tools. So many elements of the tools can't be machined, sanded, or polished, need to be done by hand. While that's a very labor-intensive activity, it does give the folks a chance to be looking at every single tool, and they have the authority really to fail any particular part if they feel like it doesn't meet the standard. But it just means that there's a lot of individual attention put on each one of our tools, just simple elements like all of our handles. While the bulk of the handle may be machined by a CNC machine, everything is hand sanded. All of these little curves and facets, all of those are done by hand. It's just remarkable to see people taking Starrett squares and micrometers and calipers and measuring the sides of various castings to make sure that they're within tolerance or within the specifications for that particular tool.
Talking about quality control with handmade objects, our makers carry the project right through to the final coat of finish. So we do 5, sometimes 6 coats of hand rubbed oil, and we try and get the maker to do their own finishing because that way, when you're oiling a piece of furniture, that's when you'll sometimes see, you know, a sanding mark or something that's missed the keeper. But then somebody else puts our maker's mark on the piece and they cast a fresh set of eyes over the piece, because, you know, it's like when you write something, sometimes you'll just miss that one spelling error over and over again because of confirmation bias.
Right.
I've heard something similar about your chisels. What's the process there?
We have a large hot glue pot, so to speak, that a person takes each chisel one at a time and dips it down into that pot to get that wax coating on it, and they put it in a rack to dry. The first time I saw that, I thought, oh my gosh, why are we doing it one at a time? Why don't we have some giant dipping machine that does them all at one time? But then Tom pointed out that a person's looking at each chisel one at a time, and if they see something they don't like, they can fail it and set it aside. So that was something that really meant a lot to me over time, and I kind of understood our thought process and how we look at our tools. And as we mentioned earlier, a lot of the stuff's done by hand, and so you're able to catch some of those things and set them aside. One thing that is interesting, that when we get a casting in, so let's take this lever cap for example. So this comes back as a casting, and it's very rough texture all the way through this. And as the folks start to sand this down or polish this down, there may be a tiny little pinprick of a hole right here that has absolutely no impact on the functionality of the tool. But we don't want that. And if we start to try to sand that little pinprick away, we have no idea if that's the top of a larger bubble down inside that particular casting. So the folks will circle that and put CD on it, and the CD stands for casting defect. And that's set aside, and that gets returned back to the foundry and gets recycled as appropriate. So there's very little waste. We don't have seconds, so we never sell a second tool. If it's good enough to have the name on it, it's going to be a first-run tool. So there's no factory second.
Yeah, when we make chairs, we don't make, you know, 100 Tamar chairs, because Australian timbers are so colour variable within the one species. You've been laughing at our blackwood all day.
Right. Everything's a blackwood.
Everything's blackwood.
Yeah.
But if we get an order for 8 Tamar chairs, we make 9 Tamars to get 8, because you never make one chair. So we have to make 9, and that 9th chair usually ends up with all the little blemishes and things on it, and the other 8 end up being a perfect match. But it means that we basically manufacture 9 chairs and charge for 8. And that 9th chair, sometimes it's perfect and sometimes it's firewood. We don't know. But we couldn't make just an 8 because if we end up with 7, we can't colour match an 8th chair from scratch.
Right, and that's the nature of the beast. So it's kind of, it's the cost of doing business. It's like making the extra chair.
Yep.
It's just something that we deal with. One thing that we don't focus on is Tom doesn't say we need a plane at a price point of $199. We don't make anything to a price point.
Yeah.
And so we don't look at how can we cut corners to make it at this price point. We say this is what we want to make and this is what we expect, and it takes this layer of cost and this layer of cost and this layer of cost, and then we need to put a little money on here, a little money here on top so that we can stay in business, and then we arrive at a price, and sometimes it's an odd price. It might be $305 instead of $299. It's how do we maintain an increasingly higher level of precision and accuracy that ultimately leads to a better overall tool. It's less about how many can we knock out in a day, it's how many can we make better in a day.
Yeah, we can say we're going to do a run of waterfall stools, and we might aim for 20 stools, but if only 17 pass muster, then we've got 17 stools. It's not worth our while any more than it is yours to have anything that could be considered a compromise out there in the market.
Definitely. I think when we make something that's at that level, or whether it's a piece of furniture and your customer comes to see the final item, you'll get that glow on their face, that light in their eyes of, wow, that's what they imagined, and they can feel and pick it up, and they can imagine using or owning that piece of furniture or that tool is highly valued by somebody for generations.
Yeah, there's so few opportunities to work with your hands on things that are meaningful, that are going to be intergenerational. I was in Sweden on a Gottstein Fellowship and I was talking to a professor at Gothenburg University, and we were talking about sustainability. He said, for years we've been looking at getting sustainable resources to make an object, but we've just done a new study looking at life cycle of an object as opposed to the materials input of the object. And he said, having an object that's still doing the same function in 30 years' time trumps any sustainability question you could have. The thing that we have to do to make a truly sustainable society is to make objects that are enduring. So a chair that lasts 70 years, a hand plane that lasts 70 years, that's sustainability right there.
Right.
Fit for purpose, long after the original purchaser has died.
Right. And the things that you make, the furniture that you make, I have no doubt will be valuable to a family for many generations, and I would imagine your furniture gets passed down through a family, might even result in family squabbles over who gets which chair. That's got to be a source of pride for both not only yourself but the people that work for you that are making those things, to know that that will live on for forever. A lot of times we'll have customers that have a professional background, and a lot of people tell me they miss making something with their hands. I just find that very interesting that people that have that particularly office type job desperately want to make something with their hands, and they might say, that table is ugly but I made it, and I'm proud of it, and there's a lot to be said for that.
I'm very grateful to the enthusiasts around the world because their passion for good tools has actually created a market that's allowed Lie-Nielsen to do what you do. If you were just relying on professionals like me, you'd be broke in a week. Because we really, really need all those woodworking enthusiasts out there creating the critical mass, buying these beautiful tools to create a market big enough so that professionals like me can buy that one tool a year that I need. So, shout out to all the enthusiasts who keep you in beer and chips, and me with the opportunity of buying them.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, thank you very much for hosting this event. It has been a pleasure to be part of this. It's been a pleasure to see all the things that you've done here. I really look forward to coming back. I hope we can make this happen again at some point, and I look forward to coming back and seeing a lot of new friends again.
Well, let's hope in a year or two's time when you do come back, you'll see the Dunstone Design Open Day grow into something even bigger. And it's been an absolute delight to host you here, and also Damien Fowler and Harpy Kittle and all the others who made this wonderful event possible. Yeah. Thanks very much, Curtis.
Sure, thank you. Thank you very much.